What is up, guys, and welcome back to Heroes Never Die, your one-stop spot for all things Overwatch. I am your host, Totally Drunk, and tonight on episode 222, we'll be taking a look at the most recent news around Overwatch, its competitive scene, and so much more. Before we get into the news and introduce you to my co-host, let me just quickly take a moment to thank everyone who is joining us tonight for a little bit of an earlier show on Twitch, and of course, thank all of our repeat listeners out there. So joining me tonight, as always, is my co-host and Ed. What an interesting week it has been. Yes, the Overwatch 2 news is basically not happening until probably January. We got a new dev update. We got some balance updates. Really not too much changing in regards to the latter, which we'll be talking about in regards to Roadhog. But we're basically we're on the final road to the grand finals, and we're at that point. So we got a 2 week period until we see whether or not the dynasty can continue the run that they are currently on. But there's kind of a lot of stuff that has happened here within the past week in such a short amount of time. And it's like a healthy mix of really everything. So there's a little bit to like about all facets here.
Oh, for sure. Like there is definitely something for everyone um going on here. Like it sucks that we're going to have you know, everything kind of coming down to the wire. Like not to the wire, but like we have this long break, but with COVID, we have to have that.
Mm-hmm.
Um I mean, we'll get into it a little bit here shortly, but it's, 3 of the 4 obvious picks. Um so well, it'll be interesting to see how things go, but there's actually a decent amount of Overwatch news, which is rare.
Yeah, we've actually had two updates since our last episode. Since we've kind of been alternating between when we're recording. Lately, it's kind of been more bi-weekly just because of the slow news drip, and that might kind of be a continued trend with kind of the Overwatch League coming to an end here fairly shortly. So definitely keep an eye on our Twitter feed to know exactly what the plan is in regards to our scheduling. But let's start with the esports side of thing. Actually, quite a bit going on. Obviously, we have the second week of the Overwatch League playoffs that happened. And during that weekend, on I believe it was Saturday, they announced the winner of the 2020 Overwatch League MVP award. And this season, it went to the Shanghai Dragons DPS player, Fleta. Now, obviously, the Dragons doing pretty damn good this year. They finished the regular season with a 27-2 record, which was actually the highest in the league standings across both NA and APAC. And I thought this was very fitting, knowing that this year we got the launch of the Stats Lab, and within the Stats Lab they actually have the Fleta deadlift as one of the categories. And for those that aren't aware of what that terminology means, it's basically when a single player accounts for more than half of the elimination count of their entire team on any map. Now, Fleta technically hasn't done as much deadlifting this year compared to what he had done with the Dynasty. I think he's only had one flooded deadlift so far this season, and that was against the London Spitfire. When you're looking at his stats, Fleta is currently ranked third in the league in regards to eliminations per 10 minutes with 20.1. That's a absurd amount there. And as the winner of the award, Fleta earns $100,000 from T-Mobile, and he also gets that special patch on his jersey, which he'll rock throughout the 2021 season. So, and we've kind of come full circle. I know there was a tweet that was being posted from one of the old Watchpoint episodes that was talking about some things that actually came true this year. So it's definitely interesting to see how scripted everything actually is when it comes down to it.
Hmm. Yeah, it's interesting. Most people in NA have not watched the Shanghai Dragons as much as they would a lot of these normal teams. Like no, by normal I mean NA teams. Just because of the time difference,
Right.
we can't. I've only seen probably 2, 3, but I know from hearing people talking with people how much the Flutta is all powerful. Um, it's a little weird to see him win it, just because I don't ever expect it to go to DPS. Tanks tend to
A DPS playing DPS.
yes, a tank is an off tank is it's kind of like a running back getting NFL MVP honors. It's possible, but it's probably going to go to the quarterback. Where in this case, the quarterback is most likely going to be a tank or a support player. And the only reason I say that is because with DPS, they rotate DPS in and out more than anyone else.
Mhm.
More than tanks, more than supports. They rotate DPS in and out. And Flutto was just a constant this year. So, and he dominated. I want to know who came in second. Like, I think they should release the top 5
Right.
to see who. That would be really cool. Now the big question is, what skin does he get?
I don't know.
Pharah? Genji?
Do you base it off of what he's been playing the majority of the season? Because as a flex DPS, that's a wide array
Exactly.
of heroes.
Like with Sinatra, easy. Zarya. Jonak, easy. Zenyatta. The hell do you get Flutta? My guess would be Pharah.
I'm thinking Ashe or Pharah would probably be the two likeliest.
Yeah. It's just you just don't know. It's like if Rascal would have won it last year instead of Sinatra. Like, what the hell do we give it to him for? So that'll be interesting, but good for Flutta. You know, sucks to be Soul. You just traded away the MVP.
Yeah, well, you know what? There's a bit of a redemption arc that could happen in the playoffs, so it's not quite over yet on that front.
No.
So look at the trade jabs here fairly shortly, potentially. Outside of that, for the Overwatch League, we also had the unveiling of the All-Star skins, which are going to 2 tank characters this season. So we have 2 new skins for D.Va and Reinhardt. So with D.Va, you basically have like silver hair, kind of got like a blue bodysuit going on, with her mech featured a similar color scheme with neon blue and gold accents. And Reinhardt is pretty interesting. It's kind of like organic, kind of like a wood copper type armor in, and kind of has like an appearance of like plant based. Now the skins themselves are essentially representing heaven and earth. Each season they've kind of been going with a distinct theme here. So with D.Va, she's basically presenting the Pacific. So a lot of influence being drawn from Asian themes of mythology, specifically when it comes to heaven. And it's interesting to look at the Reinhardt one because it does kind of give me like druid-esque vibes from
Yep.
World of Warcraft. And it's pretty cool because there's a lot of inspiration being drawn from like Celtic roots here. And then you got like the Tree of Life. You also have the deer antlers for the helm there, which is being drawn from the spirit of the hunt. So like I have to say, like all in all, when I saw these, I think the Reinhardt one definitely stood out more to me than the D.Va one. But I actually really like both of these skins, and I cannot wait to get my hands on them. But first impressions, Ed, what did you think of these ones?
I'm not going to be a negative Nancy on this, like always. I was actually impressed with both the skins. I need to inspect the D.Va one a little bit more. It's just with D.Va, there's so many little things that you just miss.
Mm-hmm.
on her outfits a lot of the times. So I want to look at that. But the Reinhardt one, you were dead on about the the druid, the Cenarian circle, that kind of thing. So that's pretty cool. I like that, but I don't know which one I'd buy. Like, they're both really good, but my tokens are at a premium.
Mm-hmm.
Because you really did not get many of them this season.
Well,
and
part of that was due to the late start with YouTube, and also it being buggy initially when we did have drops to begin with, because a lot of people were having issues whenever they were using, when they were using like website, basically. So if they were on YouTube or they were on the Overwatch League website, they weren't getting tokens. But a lot of people that were watching through the app were actually getting tokens. So there was a huge disconnect there. That went on for actually quite a bit of time.
Yeah. So I don't want to use up the currency I have to buy these. I want to wait, because I mean, now am I thinking that we're gonna get expansion teams this next season? No. I mean, they could surprise me, but no. But I'm still holding out hope for a Chicago team. So I'm holding on to them unless one truly just blows me the F away. I'm gonna hold off.
Yeah, I'm not sure what my token situation is right now. But the cost of the skin is 200 Overwatch League tokens for each one. And they will be readily available to purchase starting on September 29th. And you could purchase them through October 12th. Honestly, I don't remember what the exchange rate is in regards to like purchasing tokens with real money. I don't know if it's like $10 or $20, but it's one of those 2 points.
I think it's $10 for 100.
Okay. So getting both.
So this would be a $20 skin. Yeah.
Okay.
This is a $20 skin, and to me, no skin is worth $20. No one individual skin is worth $20.
Yeah, that's more in line with like a bundle purchase, for that price point.
Now the thing is I will say this, and I've ranted about this on numerous podcasts. And this is another great thing that a great thing about Overwatch is their cosmetics are ridiculously reasonably priced. Ridiculously. Anyone who complains about the price of the skins in Overwatch, go play another game. Like, go play Valorant. You know how much one of the knives, just a knife skin, in Valorant costs? $35? Just for the fucking knife. Like, to the new set that came out, which is I think like 4 like 4 guns and then the knife, I think it's like $125. So you could deal with that with Overwatch. So yeah, it's definitely something that, be thankful. But $20 is still a bit much for an Overwatch skin.
Well, in this case too. But anyways, as we mentioned, we're looking ahead to the grand finals. Now, a couple of things to note. Obviously, we have this 2-week window where the NA teams are traveling over to Asia. They got to go through the 2-week quarantine. So we got a little bit of time before the grand finals actually kick off. But we concluded the second week of the Overwatch League playoffs. Those are in the books. Our grand finals are set, and advancing to the grand finals from North America, you have your defending champions, the San Francisco Shock, as well as the top seed, or, who was the top seed, because they didn't quite take the winners final there. You have the Philadelphia Fusion. And then over from APAC, you have the top-seeded Shanghai Dragons and the Seoul Dynasty. What? Scripted, right? Yeah, everyone out there was like, you know what, guys, Dynasty, they're gonna make a run, they're gonna make it to the grand finals, everything's gonna be peachy keen. No one was hyping New York, no one was hyping Guangzhou Charge, overplayed, outdone, but this was gonna be the sole chance to actually live up to the namesake. And like, I'll be honest, like going in knowing that Seoul has been very 50-50. Yes, they did kind of enter the playoffs on a hot streak, but they kind of like the pendulum swung going into the playoffs as well. So they were hot, then they cooled off, and that definitely worried me. And then you enter the playoffs, you have a new patch. The compositions are all over the place. But to Seoul's credit, this is a team who took the Dragons to 5 maps. This is a team who has been running things that aren't necessarily meta. And that Dragon series in itself was absolutely phenomenal. A lot of counter comping going
Yep.
on. So it's cool to see a team who was doing something off kilter be able to show that many different looks and still find success at what they are doing, because you don't really get to see that. Because a lot of times what happens is you have a team that does something off kilter from the norm, and that's all they do. And
Hmm.
they will run it until the cows come home, and as soon as the gas runs out, that is it. But that has not been the case with the Dynasty, and I texted Slambo. I was like, hey, like I don't know if you're still keeping up, but our Dynasty are in the final four.
Hmm.
Gotta let them know because it was unexpected, and like who knows? Maybe a deep run like this will give Dynasty more of a bargaining tool going into the off season here.
I mean, it could. It's. How do I put this nice without offending people? Um, this is the Dallas fuel of the last season. I think this is not a case of the soul just suddenly getting that much better. Because I don't think it's that. I think it's a matter of this is just a meta that works for them
Well, I think
and works for the con. Or
I
it
think
could
I
be
think
this meta
Justice.
doesn't fit other teams as well. Like the soul may not have the meta may not be for soul. They're just not as bad at this meta as somebody like the Charge are. You know
Mhm.
what I mean?
Right.
And I think that could definitely be it. And I could be completely wrong about this, and Soul comes back and wins this, which would be the craziest thing to ever happen in the Overwatch League. But it's definitely something that no one expected, and it's good storylines. It's good for the league. I think now Soul is the darlings of
Mhm.
the tournament, and everyone's kind of cheering for that. So because it's like, come on, when can they finally get? They're the Boston Red Sox. They're the teams that always has a good team, but can't quite get over that hump. And now granted, it's a new league, so it's not 100 years of losing, but it's definitely something I think that will draw the fan base in. Like I'm hoping Soul wins. Will I predict Soul to win? No, but I'm hoping they do. So I'm very excited for it.
Yeah, it was curious too because kind of going into this past weekend, a lot of people were definitely riding the wave of Washington Justice, and I know a lot of people who were on both sides of the fence here, in regards to them wanting the Justice to like make it to the finals after everything that kind of like went on with the K and all the fallout with Dallas, and a lot of people who are like, no, we don't want that because that would just like leave a scar on the Overwatch League. So it's been kind of an interesting week to kind of like sit back and observe and just gauge the response and just the reactions that we were getting from in the community because it was very divisive on that front. But at the end of the day, you did get the two top seeds coming out of North America, advancing to the grand finals. And, for those that can't remember, the grand finals are taking place from October 8th through the 10th, and it is a double elimination bracket. So you have the top seed out of each region going up against the number 2 seed of the opposite region. So you have NA1, which would be the Shock.
Yep.
They're facing APAC 2, which would be the Seoul Dynasty, which would leave you Fusion versus the Dragons. And obviously, it is double elimination, so if you lose one game, you are not out of the run-in. And I have to say, I am so intrigued by these matches. I cannot wait to see it, because we have been waiting very patiently for inter-regional competition, and it is only a couple of weeks away. And, we will get you guys primed for the grand finals when we do our network special, which will be streaming live on Monday, October 5th. Will be our grand final special, which will be airing at the normal Overwatch League network time. Whether we also do an HND that week is kind of up in the air. Will depend on what else is going on, but I would imagine we'll just release that episode on all the podcast feeds, and we'll kind of leave it at that, because I can't imagine them dropping a ton of normal Overwatch news, because they want to fixate.
Let's be real. They don't actually drop a lot of Overwatch.
Well, not usually.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I'm gonna hold my full on ranting and thoughts in regards to the finals until we film that record that special. So I won't go too far into it. Just be aware, I have some spicy takes.
I'm shocked.
I know you're shocked. Shocked and awe.
Yeah, man.
Hey, one thing I didn't say. You know what? I'll say this. I didn't. And you asked me how my week was going.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely off topic, but it's Overwatch. It's Overwatch related,
Right?
but not about the Overwatch League. For the first time in 10 seasons, I did my placements.
Okay.
On supports.
Okay. First question: what did you play?
Mainly Ana, Moira. Depending on what our tanks were.
Mm-hmm.
I was playing with some followers from here, some listeners. Owl was in there. I believe we got some games in with Kesha. Booger, and some of them. And I placed 1975. So, and we did not have a good, we went 2 and 3 in my placements. So 1 win and I'll be up back into gold for support, which has always been my highest is support. So yeah, I got my placements done.
Nice.
And one of them.
I'll have to do mine soon.
Yeah, I still need to do tank and DPS.
I was basically just playing quick play today, but more on that in just a bit. But anyways, as I mentioned earlier, we've actually had a couple of updates here since our last release here. I want to talk about the most recent one first. So it's kind of on the smaller scale. There's not as much meat on the bones in regards to this one. So we had a patch that was deployed to the retail servers on September 15th. That would be yesterday, on Tuesday. And this new patch basically features a new Tracer event. More on that in just a few minutes. Along with it came a long-awaited change to lever penalties. Now, we don't know the numbers offhand. We don't know to what severity things are going to at this point. But moving forward, they are looking to penalize levers of competitor games and have it be more severe. So more severe repercussions here, and it will mean that they will get banned for the remainder of the season quicker than what they had been in the past. Now, to what extent, again, I don't really know. I haven't really been reporting a ton of people either, so it's kind of hard to keep tabs on things like this. But I have seen quite a few leavers, but it's mostly been from, I would say, Smurf accounts when people are group queuing and you have one that isn't ranked doing placements with people that are ranked. So they just have like the lower level kind of leave, or whoever's not currently ranked leaving. But not too. I haven't played comp in like a couple of weeks, so I haven't seen anything in that window either, obviously. But I'll be keeping an eye on this. I want to see if this is going to change too much, but I have to imagine if someone is getting snowballed so hard before someone takes the first objective, I don't think any level of severity of punishment is going to stop certain people from leaving.
Probably not, unless they start taking away SR. More SR.
Right.
Like, let's say, you leave, you lose 200 SR.
Or what?
Or you're, I don't know,
it's a
200 is a
situation-
bit extreme. Like, 200 is a bit extreme. But you know what I mean. Like, it needs to be, like, you need to have a penalty that is worth them to stay and just suck it up for 10 minutes.
Right.
Now, there are other things that they can do to try and negate some of this, and this is something. And again, I've been playing a lot of Valorant, so I'm gonna reference this a little. One thing I really wish that they would introduce in Overwatch is what we kind of call draft dodging.
Mhm.
So essentially, if you're on a team and like when you're at higher ranks or something like that, cheaters, shit players, stuff like that, or you just have somebody who just doesn't connect, or they're toxic beforehand. If you don't select a character by the time the match starts, not when it goes away from the screen, but by the time you can go out, if you do not select a character, it sends you back, starts the game over again, puts you back at the beginning of the queue, and you go over it again.
Okay.
That would be something I think that would be interesting to test out in Overwatch.
Yeah, the other thing I was wondering, what if they were to have a system for these levers? I'm not gonna say like put them in their own queue with other levers, because I don't see the point of that.
You don't want to go the Fall Guys route?
No.
You saw that?
Yeah, I did. But what if it's a situation if like this is a recurrent thing, not just from like a random disconnect, where they cap the amount of SR you can gain per game?
That is another way to do it. It really is. Cap the SR that they can gain, increase the amount of SR you lose. I don't think putting like a 20-minute timer on it does a thing.
Right.
Like, that does nothing. That's like, hey, I'm gonna go make myself something to eat, come back, and then queue. Like, that's just that's nothing. That's shit. Like, so it's one of those things where they need to make it more severe. Now, when they talk about like banning and stuff like that, if they actually are going to be banning people quicker and for longer, that could be very detrimental. Not detrimental, very beneficial, more detrimental to the players that actually do it.
Right.
So it would be smart on there to, be, I don't know, be trigger happy when it comes to that. I mean, if I'm a big proponent of, if you're truly constantly affecting people's enjoyment of the game, then you don't deserve to be in the game. Plain and simple. Yeah, if you're gonna be a POS to your teammates, leave because you may not like what they are trying to say or trying to do, then you know what? The game's better off with you not there. And I'm completely fine with banning you. permabanning even. Like, IP ban that shit.
Yeah, hardware bans. Let's go.
Mhm.
Now, outside of that, with this update, we also have the return of the competitive 3v3 lockout elimination, which is back for its third season. So again, it's there in the arcade. It's another way for you guys to, get a couple of competitive points towards your golden weapons if you're still looking at doing that. Or maybe you're just wanting to stockpile CP for the expansion or sequel, whatever you want to label it. Who knows if they're actually going to use that method, but you never
Right?
know. It wouldn't hurt, I would say, if you are someone who has unlocked basically everything that they would want at this point. Really not my cup of tea. I'm not going to be playing this mode, but I know if you're someone that's looking to get like the top 500 spray, here's another opportunity for you to do that. And outside of that, they also push a workshop update as well, which is in the form of scaling heroes. So you're able to alter the size of heroes in workshop at this point. So I would imagine there's gonna be a lot of like boss mode type
Mhm.
games from this particular update. But
Just think, we're gonna get more of that shit May versus Winston game. Whatever, the Yeti one. The worst game
the
mode.
Yeti hunt.
Second worst game mode ever. First worst game mode is that GD Roadhog hook one around the pit. That
I,
is the worst.
I was kind of half expecting you to say May's Snowball Offensive, which would have been my other pick. I hate
No,
both of the May ones. It's just like,
no,
it's just not
May is
for me.
so the top 4 worst, top 5. Let's go top 5. Number 1, that Roadhog one. That's just horrible. I hate whoever invented it. Okay, let's just get that out of the way. Then the 2 May ones come in after that.
Okay.
Number 4, Lucio Ball. Okay, let's get that one out of the way. Number 5, Capture the Flag.
I played a game of Capture the Flag during the Masters Buttons game night because,
And you hated it, I bet.
Ramses, for whatever reason, selected it. I absolutely despised it. And on top of that, we got absolutely dumpstered. Like, it wasn't even close. Because we didn't have a full squad, and we got paired with, like, a solo player, and he was running, like, Bastion, even though, like, we were down, like, 2 or 3 captures. And it just felt so hopeless, because they controlled the middle ground. Anytime we got the flag, we would die instantly. But yeah, Capture the Flag, not my mode.
Yep, so that's why it made it into my top 5.
It would also be in my top 5. But anyways, that was it for this most recent update. Now, I feel like we should talk about the other patch, and then we'll talk about the other thing, because there's a lot of things kind of like compiled into the Tracer stuff.
Yep.
So the other patch that we saw was this past Thursday, so 6 days ago. There were some new balance changes that hit live servers, and it dealt a lot with shotgun weapons, specifically when it came to the patterns. So the shotgun patterns are no longer going to apply some random rotation, which would affect heroes like Ashe, Doomfist, D.Va, as well as Reaper, Roadhog, and Torbjorn. So basically what this is doing is it's making the patterns a little bit more reliable, which should allow you to have more control over aiming.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that being said, this also had some balance updates to 2 of the shotgun heroes. So Roadhog got nerfed. Like, that is the big thing here.
Yep.
So they were looking at the scrap gun, so the projectile damage was reduced from 7, now down to 6, which puts it down to 150 total per shot. So the goal here was to try to keep his chain hook combo reliable, but not overly powerful against, the heroes that have a higher health pool. And I have to say, Ed, like, looking at it, it definitely doesn't feel... Hog is not oppressive right now compared to what he was.
No, he is not oppressive to what he was. But despite what your Overwatch might say, it is not he is not nerfed into the ground.
Right.
He is still very viable. Um and I will just straight up argue that to the day I die. That right now he is still super viable. He's just not oppressive, which is a fine place for him. You know, he's not going to be able to one shot Reapers,
Mm-hmm.
but he can one shot basically any support.
Right.
Which is massive value. Because he used to not even be able to do that. Before he got buffed. So you know, this is definitely a change that doesn't make him trash, just doesn't make him god tier. Um, so it'll be interesting to see what happens in regards to all this. But like, I'm still seeing a lot of Roadhog now, and I still love playing Roadhog even after the changes.
Mm-hmm.
It means absolutely nothing to me about Torbjorn. Let's be real. Torbjorn still isn't that good. But I mean, this makes him slightly better, but it's not the same. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, like with Roadhog, I'm having a hard time telling like if it's basically at what it was at prior to the buffs, or if it is a little bit worse than that, knowing that they made the shotgun patterns a little bit more concise. But I haven't been playing enough to really get a good feel for it. But what I have seen is like in regards to the usage. The Roadhog play is down a little bit, but like it's not like super significant because there still are a ton of maps within the game where running that double off tank, you know, the Zarya Roadhog composition is still pretty prevalent. And you know, I'm pulling up Overbuff just to kind of get an idea of like where we were at for the current week, and I'll say at Master. Roadhog is currently at a 4.98% pick rate.
Okay.
And if I go to this month, now this is pretty substantial when I compare it like the past couple of weeks. This month it was
Yeah,
at
like
12.75. So that is pretty drastic, but you still have Roadhog being in the top 4 either way.
so yeah, it falls right into the not oppressive, but still strong.
Mm-hmm.
And that's ideally where you want all your heroes. Now it's never going to be that way, but that's ideally where you want that.
Right.
So I think this is overall a great change. So yeah, we'll see what actually occurs. You know, I mean, we won't really like. Here's a sad thing about this is we won't really know how this affects the meta because let's be real, the pros
They're not going to
make
update the patch.
meta. Yeah, the
And
pros make the meta, and if we can't see them on this patch play professionally, then you know what? We're just kind of going off of what we see on Twitch.
Right.
And word of mouth.
Mhm.
And that's a lot different than, you know, than what could be like you know, what the pros play. So it's like it's definitely going to be something that's going to be fluid, but we're hitting that time now where, you know, you're going to start seeing there won't be a meta really between now and the start of the next Overwatch League season, because you're not going to see the pro play
Outside of contenders.
Outside of contenders, but nobody watches contenders. No, and
Blackwatch Report watches contenders.
Blackwatch Report. I'm sorry, that just means that people don't actually support. Oh wait, no, that's just Overwatch.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't support it. So yeah, it until we find what the pros are playing, we won't have a meta.
Yeah, it's just weird to me that even after a nerf, there hasn't really been too much of a difference in the pick rate where we're at. Because normally, and yes, I know like there is a degree of people not reading patch notes, even though they are available to read in game. But like Like the win rate for Roadhog is also below 50% at this point too, which is also pretty significant to talk about. But a lot of people are still like insta locking him, and I feel like a lot of that's just due to the versatility and the impact of just landing the train hook to get that initial pick. Because 6v5 is definitely a different situation than even strength here. Now, I have seen a lot of outcry from the community, obviously, because Roadhog was really good for a little bit of time, and all those hog players are kind of weeping at this point. And a lot of them did bring up kind of like the same idea of how they would balance the character. And I want to run this by you, just in case you
Oh,
haven't heard it. So their response to this for the dev team was to buff the hook damage to help compensate for the damage nerf. Now, what that would do, Ed, is you wouldn't have to worry about high impact in regards to like tank and shield pressure with this
yep.
because they're still going for the squishy targets in this case. And it just helps maintain that reliability of the combo with the hook shot.
Yeah, I mean, I like it because it rewards you for being good with the signature ability,
Right.
which is just key, and it's going to reward skill. And that's 100% what it is. It's kind of like Widow's headshot damage. It's going to reward you for hitting headshots. Things like that. It's I would actually like that change. But again, I think you to counter that, depending on how drastic it is, you would need to mess with the range, not the range, but the width and what actually can get you a hook. Because I mean, a lot of these players are just like, hey, I'm gonna get 70%, 75% hook accuracy.
Right.
That's just free damage at that point. And it might be a little bit too strong if you do something like that. So it would have to be very well balanced because it could get oppressive rather quickly.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about the other thing that was in this recent patch, and that is the new event that is going on right now, which is kind of a tie-in event for Tracer. So we have the Tracer's Comic Challenge going on right now. So with this, by winning 3 games, you get to unlock a new player icon, you'll get a new spray at 6 wins, and then you also get the comic book Tracer skin at 9 wins. So, this skin I actually really like. It's a blue-pink mix that has kind of like comic panels and stickers like on the leggings. It's very... It feels very cartoonish to see like a hero having like their own like hero leggings. But that's besides the point. But you can also unlock additional comic themed sprays by watching Overwatch streams that have drops enabled. And of course, you have like different Twitch streamers kind of like tied into that. And with like all of these events, guys, like you don't have to do it in one sit-in. You get sprays unlocked every 2 hours up to 6 hours, and as long as it's an Overwatch stream that has drops enabled, you are good. You do not have to be at one of the sponsored streams or anything like that. And not to mention, there's honestly a lot of time to get this out of the way, because the challenge itself is on all the platforms right now until September 28th. So, you got 12 more days to get your 9 wins in, quick play, competitive, arcade, basically anything that isn't versus AI or, like, custom.
Yeah, so, like, the best way I can describe this over audio is think of the Runaway, the original Runaways from Korea, their skin colors, mixed with 1960s Superman comic books. Like, that's the best way to describe it. It's got that pink and blue, but then it's got pow, bam, splat, all that stuff all over it. It's actually a very cool skin. I like it a lot. It will be my Tracer skin unless they come out with a better Christmas Tracer skin, because the one they have now for her is
The
kind of
elf.
trash.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's just it's a basic bitch skin. Like I'm just like, let's not go ahead and not use that skin. This is the skin I will equip. So you get a rare thumbs up from me on the skin department this past 2 weeks Overwatch. Good
Yeah.
job.
Yeah, and I do want to note too that when it comes to the sprays that you get for watching streams as well, they actually have unique voice lines with this. So, not something we get to see a whole lot of. Like
No,
every
that
once
is
in a
not.
while, like you might get something like that with like skins. Normally not with sprays, so trying out some new things, which I am happy to see. But obviously, this is a tie-in to the new Tracer comic that came out this week as well, which came out of like nowhere. And I have to say, I absolutely love this comic because of the amount of like rock that was within it.
Yeah, it's very 1980s, 70s, 80s, well, 60s, 70s,
Yeah.
80s like rock. It's very classic rock. I mean, you're talking about the Ramones,
Hmm.
the Beatles were in there
Sex
and stuff like
Pistols. Yeah.
Sex
Well,
Pistols. Like it was all phenomenal. Now it's one of
five.
five.
Yes.
Yeah,
All right.
it's one
So
of five.
important to note there, we got 5 issues. So it is a run, and this is London Calling. The first issue was authored by Mariko Tamaki. So plot of this arc, I guess, is one way to put it. It basically tackles Tracer's restlessness after not being able to make a difference, because this does take place several years after Overwatch disbanded. So Tracer right now is, she's living in Kings Row in London. She is having to deal with Omnics, both good and bad. And in the first issue, Tracer kind of like befriends an Omnic thief after basically learning from the robot. He's basically trying to support this underworld, which is full of Omnics. And basically, the whole reason for that is because of that divide between humans and Omnics in Kane's Row, where basically all of the Omnics are living in the sewers. Like, they got, like, their whole underworld. It's kind of like Chud. Except they're not mutants. They're robots in this case. So, you have this this Omnic Iggy, who is basically going out trying to do like supply runs in order to keep the grid up, and that's like the Omnic's way of powering their city. It's their way of communicating and everything. And of course, because there is that tension in King's Row, not everyone is too keen on Tracer being in the underground, or in the underworld in this case. Now, a couple of things kind of like sprinkled in here. One, we have Empire Records making a random appearance. God, I can't. Been a little while, and Tracer and this Omnic Iggy share a bond over vintage records. We see the Beatles, the Ramones, the Stooges, and I thought it was funny that he was named Iggy, because I know the Stooges lead singer is Iggy. You also have like Iggy Pop. Um, there's a lot of like different things that can kind of tie into that, but I have to say, Ed, the biggest like rock influence definitely comes with the title of this arc, because it is London Calling, which is an album from The Clash. So there's a lot of like rock elements kind of like intertwined here. Both in regards to the actual comic, the naming of it, and kind of like everything in between. But I'm very curious to see where this is going to lead, because they kind of tease like, okay, like on the next issue, like we're gonna get introduced to Mundada, and obviously we know what happened there, so I would not be surprised if Widowmaker is going to make an appearance. Maybe we'll see the assassination in comic form, in this case, but we're also going to be introduced to Casey, who is someone who distrusts humans, who could possibly be that unknown Omnic that we saw all the way back in the Storm Horizon campaign there's a lot of stuff that can kind of like piece together things from the past that could be in the works here with this comic run. And I laughed initially when I read this because I'm looking at Iggy and I was like, guys, I know more about this Omnic Thief than I do Zenyatta at this point. And it's just
you're not wrong. Like, we're getting more backstory about characters not in the game than we are in the game. Now, I do think that we will get more characters involved. I think that's 100% guarantee, But you honestly know what this reminded me of?
What's that?
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Okay.
Like, you had the underground, like, we love punk rock, we love, all that stuff.
Yeah, we were missing the arcade cabinets, the vert ramps.
You had Casey even.
We didn't have the kids smoking and gambling.
Yeah, no, we did not have that. We did not have the Foot Clan.
Yeah.
But it just reminded me of like a scene from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. So I don't know. It was pretty good, but the thing is, it's 1 of 5. So it's like, this is just kind of setting the this is what people like. This is the beginner stages. We have no idea what's going to happen.
Well, except Mondada dying.
Yes, except Mondada.
It's going to happen in the timeline. It's just a matter of, does it happen in the comic run?
Yes. Also, we don't know how quickly we will be getting the other.
We do.
Oh, we do?
Mm-hmm.
When did they say they will
it's monthly.
releasing that?
It's one a month. Interesting. Okay, so Ed, let's see. It's September. Let's see. Five runs. Okay, September, October, November, December, January. And
then February, early 2021, when they wanted BlizzCon.
Or January, whichever. It's funny, like, they space it out, just enough to, like, whet the appetite until they get to, like, an actual Overwatch 2 announcement. I mean, I'm just throwing it out there, but it is 1 a month for, we had this month and we got the next 4 months, so this will be good through the year and into January.
Mm-hmm.
But, I had to say, Ed, there has been a lot of people who are like, that's great, where's the Overwatch 2 news? Or you have the people who are like, the comics aren't bad, but I would rather have an animation. At the end of the day, I'm always going to be thankful whenever we have any bit of lore. I don't care what format it is, because I know the amount of work that goes into creating an animated short. When you compare that to some of the other medias, obviously it takes a lot more time to get an animated short done than it would storyboard in a comic, getting it colorized, illustrated, all that good stuff. And I feel like a lot of people don't truly grasp kind of like the timeline of putting something down on pen and paper and seeing the final product.
Yeah, I want to know how long this has been in the works. Because it's one of those things where, has it been ready for months and they just postponed it? There's so much we just don't know about.
Right.
But I'm glad we're getting at least a little something. I'm disappointed we're not getting. You brought up animated shorts, and that's the way to my heart.
Then the next one will be in January.
Maybe.
They kind of hinted at Sojourn. Just saying.
Yeah. Maybe
it's gonna happen.
You know what? I don't know anymore. With
January Sojourn trailer, everything. It's gonna happen.
I don't have faith.
You gotta believe.
I can't. Nothing they have done has made me want to believe. So but this will be good. I wish it was more in game than on the website.
True.
Kind of like you could read the comic in game.
And by the way, if you are reading a comic, for God's sake, download the PDF, because trying
to
it's impossible to read it on like the normal website, and then whenever you do try to like say scroll in, it just flips back the page.
Mhm. So yeah, download the PDF, read it that way, so you can actually zoom in to read.
And something I forgot to mention, Ed, probably more important here too, is this is actually a deal that was struck with Dark Horse, which is a
Yes.
pretty big publisher in comics. Like that also caught me by surprise. So like I was like, all right, like that's pretty legit. And like outside of that, a couple other things to note here. Tracer's girlfriend Emily does make an appearance.
She made noodles.
They did. Yes, they made nudes. We also
Noodles.
gotta...
Noodles. Noodles.
I mean, they could have made both. You never know. That's Tracer After Dark. But anyways, you also saw like different areas of the game map as well. And I just want to know if we're gonna get the Mondada assassination this next month within that comic, because it's imminent. So we'll have to see like how big of a role Mondada is going to play in this next one, because obviously Mondada at the time is all about trying to get Omnic equality. But there's a lot of divide there within King's Row between the humans and the Omnic. And like even as Tracer was leaving the underworld, some of the Omnics kind of like gained up on her, saying like basically like you're not welcome here, and they tried to like just ambush her. It was like 3 or 4 on 1. That didn't work out so well for them. But I thought it was kind of interesting too, in the sense that like this is after Overwatch disbanded, and Tracer, like she's trying to help out, but she doesn't really know what to do. And Emily makes a joke about like like pulling kittens down from trees. Like one of the very like jokey like firefighter type roles that people like to throw around a lot. And she's like, I'm just trying to do what I can, trying to do my part here. And for the most part, she's just taking back stolen property from thieves. So it kind of has like that like really early like Peter Parker type vibes kind of like going on as well.
Yeah, no, it does. It's definitely, it's kind of like Peter Parker, your friendly neighborhood Tracer. Everyone kind of knows the name, stuff like that. So it'll be interesting to see what they go. I fully expect Mondada to be in here. I fully expect Widowmaker at some point to be in here. Yeah, that's. I mean, I don't expect really any other Overwatch heroes to be in this. Maybe Zenyatta, but they won't give us anything about Zenyatta.
It's all going to be about Iggy.
Yes, Iggy
and Casey.
And now everyone's gonna be like, Iggy, next playable character in game. No.
Oh, that's already been happening.
Yeah, no. We haven't gotten Evil Maui yet. We're not gonna get Iggy. If anything, we get the doctor that gave Iggy the headphones.
Yeah, so. Kind of, definitely had like the dreadlocks going on,
Yep.
Maybe a former Lucio lover. You never know.
Mm-hmm.
All comes back around. But definitely go read the comic if you haven't yet. And the most important part, this has nothing to do, well, it kind of has something to do with the comic, but anyways, when all this stuff was hidden, our dev and savior, Papa Jeffrey Kapkap, praise him. He took to the glorious YouTube to do a new developer update, kind of like talking about the collaboration with Dark Horse, talking a little about the comic, talking about the tie-in event with Tracer's comic challenge. And my goodness, Ed, you're scrolling through all the comments on YouTube. 99.9% of them were all about Jeff's beard.
That beard was fierce.
It's definitely grown on him. It's definitely bringing in a lot of grays. He looks like he's been through some shit here as of late, and It's interesting to see like the timeline here of like when Kaplan first became a game dev to like when Overwatch released, and now current state, Papa Jeffrey Cap.
Praise him.
And it's just like, I just love the fact that everyone's like excited about lore, but then you have the magnetism of Jeff's beard, and it just consumes everything in its path, and I just absolutely love the community for that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, everyone's like, "Ooh, Tracer, ooh, this," and like Reddit and the community are like, "That beard though, he has not touched that thing.
No.
Like he's trimmed it to keep it like neat, so it's not like Bushmaster."
Mm-hmm.
But he has, and I think my favorite was when they turned the beard, like the goatee part of the beard, into the Valiant symbol. It was just, yeah, it was just funny. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun.
Absolutely. So that's everything in a nutshell. Quite a bit going on here since our last episode. And again, guys, we do have a couple of weeks until the return of the Overwatch League when we get to the grand finals. But we got this event going on. You got competitive lockout elimination 3v3 going on. You got the Tracer tie-in. There's a lot of stuff happening right now, and we'll kind of see where we go from here. Obviously, the meta right now is kind of like all over the place, so it's kind of like throwing darts at like the balloons and seeing what sticks or what pops.
Yeah, I was gonna be like, do you throw darts at stuff a lot and it sticks?
I mean, if it's a dartboard,
maybe. I guess
that depends on where you're aiming it.
Well, that is also very true. But yeah, we'll see what actually occurs here in the next few weeks. I fully expect nothing to be announced for, I don't know, another month. Maybe an experimental card. Maybe.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing other than that.
All right, so let's go ahead and close it out then for the night. So if you guys want to help us out, please do us a solid. Head on over to iTunes and write us a review. Let us know how we're doing. We are at this point 222 episodes in. Oh my goodness.
Jesus Christ. That's a lot.
That's a lot. And you've been on more podcasts here than you've not been on here.
That is true.
That's kind of scary to think about. Besides the point. But anyways, we're always looking for ways to improve the show. So, we're always here to make for a better listen experience. If you guys have any suggestions, please feel free to reach out to us. If you guys are looking to support our podcast and the network that it is a part of, be sure to check out our Patreon at patreon.com/OWL Network, where we have tiers starting at just $1 a month. So you too can join the likes of our master and above patrons, Daniel, Owl, and Kesha, two of which we're doing comp games with you, in helping our network grow. And, as I mentioned again earlier, we do have the network special for the grand finals coming up October 5th. A couple of weeks out from that. And, outside of that, Overwatch League by the numbers probably only has 1, maybe 2 episodes left for this current season. So keep your eyes peeled for that as well. But Ed, why don't you go ahead and close it out here? Let our listeners know how they can contact our show.
All right, so you can reach us through email at hndoverwatch@gmail.com. We are on Twitter, and that's at hndoverwatch. We do have a website, and that's at owrecall.com. We are on YouTube. Yes. We are on YouTube at youtube.com/Overwatch League Network. We do have a Discord, and that's at discord.me/OWLN show. We are on Twitch. We stream at twitch.tv/OWLN show. We're affiliates, so help support the show by subscribing to our channel and earn our network emoticon. We do stream pretty regularly. We have the Overwatch League Network, airs Mondays at 6 p.m. Pacific. OWL by the numbers is Tuesdays 6 p.m. Pacific, but like Tom said, that's only for a few more episodes. We have Heroes Never Die. This show airs Wednesdays at 5 p.m. Pacific. And then Totem and I have Tavern Tales, a Hearthstone Battlegrounds podcast, which airs Thursdays at 5 p.m. Pacific over at twitch.tv/Tavern Tales HS. You can follow me personally on Twitter, and that's at Edinar83, or on Twitch at twitch.tv/Edinar. Totem, where can they find you at?
Well, you can find me over on Twitter at Drunk, as well as Twitch at twitch.tv/Drunk. I know it's been a while since I've streamed. You know, it's so on and off when it comes to streaming, because like there's some days where I'm just like, I'm too exhausted. I'm just gonna relax, play a couple rounds of Battlegrounds, but it's like never a lengthy enough period where I'm like, yeah, you know, like streaming for an hour is okay. Like I feel like I need to put the actual time in whenever I do it, otherwise it doesn't I don't feel the need to, I guess is the best way to put it. But anyways, we will have Tavern Tales tomorrow. A lot of cool stuff happening on that front, so if you play Hearthstone, if you're a fan of Battlegrounds, be sure to be here tomorrow for that episode. We got some events coming up, we got some collaborations coming up, we got a really fun event happening for a certain digital event this year, which we'll have more details about. We also got our Discord set up for that as well. Game night soon. A lot of stuff happening with Battlegrounds, which we're excited for with the recent release of Battlegrounds parties. But definitely go check it out if you haven't already. But that will do it for us here tonight on Heroes Never Die. I've been your host, Totally Drunk, joined as always by my co-host, Edinar. And we will see you guys back next week. You guys take care and have a good night.
Peace out, y'all.